Tomorrow is game day in the Premier League again for Newcastle. We take on Tottenham Hotspur at 4:30 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. These games are coming thick and fast for Newcastle. I mean, we're talking Premier League, Carabao Cup, Champions League, and soon to be FA Cup against the Mackhams in the third round. I can't wait for that game. But this is a very interesting match preview. We'll play Tottenham Hotspur, who, just like Newcastle, are very injury struck, and they've got so many injuries and two extremely fantastic players out for them, as well as some other players who have individual quality. This is going to affect the game so much. If Newcastle take this game with Spurs, we will win. Without further ado, people, let's get into the match preview. Right then, lads and lasses, how we're doing, and welcome back to the channel. Now, just before we get onto the opposition Spurs, which is why you come on the video, you know about Newcastle, you don't know about Spurs. Before we get onto that, we've actually got some news about Newcastle, some squad news and some injury news, which is very, very positive and very important, as 2 players could make the bench for tomorrow, and 4 players we can expect back for the squad, which... it's not for Spurs, but it is back very, very soon. Now, without further ado, let's take a look at this. Joel Bland posted yesterday there's optimism that Callum Wilson and Sean Longstaff could both make the bench for Newcastle against Spurs tomorrow. Daniel Wheels also posted 2 days ago that Callum Wilson, Sean Longstaff, Harvey Barnes and Dan Burn are all nearing returns to Newcastle. Absolutely fantastic. If we can bring them 2 players back, it would be detrimental to the squad. I mean, we're talking players who haven't been switched now in 4 or 5 games. It's unbelievable. These lads are going through absolute fitness hell. Without further ado, now, let's get into the match preview. Now, as you already know, Newcastle United play Ange Postecoglou's that were high-flying Spurs, but now are quite low-seeking Spurs. I mean, not a win in the past 5 games. 4 losses, I believe it is, or maybe 3 losses. We'll take a look at that in a second. But Spurs do still sit ahead of Newcastle. I mean, they were high and flying at the start of the season. Some people were saying title winners already. Definitely not for me. You can never tell at the start of the season. But let's take a look at Tottenham Hotspur. But before that, people, if you do enjoy the match analysis, if you do enjoy my channel, of course, I bring daily news for Newcastle United, match previews, match day vlogs, match reactions, daily news, whatever you could think of. So stick around, people. Like the video. It helps us so much. Honestly, it does. I really appreciate it. It'll take you 2 seconds. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Thank you very much, people. I appreciate it so much. Now, Tottenham Hotspur, 5th in the table so far. Newcastle, of course, sitting 7th. Like just mentioned, I mean, they are struck with injuries. We're talking about Heung-min Son out, who is arguably their best player. Is he going to be out for tomorrow? He's a doubt. It's not a complete concrete out. The reason for that being, he come off injured in their last game. I forgot who was against now. I believe it was a 2-1 loss at home to West Ham. That's who it was. He come off with a back injury. We're seeing a video of him holding his back. Bad news for Spurs. Good news for Newcastle. Also, a very, very fantastic player out for Spurs. The man who was meant to come to Newcastle, who was linked with Newcastle United about 10,000 times in the transfer window. It's James Maddison. He's hit the ground running at Spurs. Now, if I was a player, I always would think to myself, don't go to Tottenham Hotspur. They don't win nothing. They genuinely don't win nothing. But James Maddison, he didn't listen. He didn't go to Newcastle. I think that's because his wife wanted to live in London, but he's hit the ground running there. Thankfully for Newcastle, he's going to miss this game due to injury. And another great player that's out for Spurs, Mickey van der Ven. He's genuinely like Sven Botman. Sven Botman, of course, is better, but he is a very great defender. He's an absolute colossus, which is a big plus for Newcastle. Other players are out like Eric Dyer, Ryan Sessegnon, Solomon, and the last one, even Perisic. Was a few other players, though. Just like Newcastle, they've got a fair few injuries. But Tottenham Hotspur this season, like just mentioned, they are 5th in the table. 27 points, 1 more point than Newcastle. They haven't done great. With a 5 or 7 goal difference, Newcastle sit on a plus 15. We've banged in the goals, but we just can't get the results, unfortunately, recently. But Spurs this season, like I said, the past 6 games, they've done okay. I mean, the 6th last game was a 2-1 win at Palace away. After that, a 4-1 loss at home against Chelsea, of course, with the red card. They lost at Wolves away 2-1. Lost against Villa at home 2-1. Drew with Man City away 3-3. A fantastic result. Man City haven't been their best this season, to their standards, of course. And most recently, just about 2 days ago, a 2-1 loss at home to West Ham. Spurs are slipping up. Something's going on here with Spurs. Is it the injuries? Is it the absences? Well, the benefit that they have over Newcastle is that they don't, of course, haven't entered the FA Cup yet, just like Newcastle haven't, or they haven't played as many games in it yet. They don't have to play European football. They got knocked out early in the Carabao Cup in the 2nd round, was it? Against Fulham at home, away on penalties, I believe it was. Newcastle have to play in 3 competitions. We've played in 3 competitions. We've got the Carabao Cup quarter-final coming up against Chelsea very, very soon. And, of course, the Champions League match against Milan next. It's an unbelievable amount of fixtures for Newcastle. I mean, 6 games in the next 16 days. Normally, that's basically in the space of 2 weeks. We'd have 2 games. Now we'll have 6. And it makes it even worse that we've got all of these unfortunate injuries against Everton. We didn't play bad, but we deserved to lose. The lads, they put in a good performance, they put in the best they can, bless them, man. I mean, it's just the fatigue took its toll. The lack of not being able to switch players due to quality on the bench, it's unfortunate. And when I say switching players from the quality on the bench, there's one thing that sparks to my mind. I don't know if it's come to your mind either, ladies and gentlemen, but Lewis Hall isn't getting any minutes. I mean, this is a lad who can play left wing, centre mid and left back, a very versatile player who looks very gifted for a young lad, just turned 19 years old. Why can't he get any minutes for Newcastle? And arguably the worst injury crisis for Newcastle in its history, maybe. I don't know, I wasn't alive 100 years ago, but definitely in my lifetime, without a doubt in my lifetime, Christ. But why can't Lewis Hall get any sort of minutes? I mean, in a 3-0 loss against Everton at Goodison Park, he couldn't get 1-2 minutes on the pitch. Matt Ritchie and Emil Kraft is coming on. I don't know if something's going on behind the sort of obligation clause with Lewis Hall, but you let me know if you would give Lewis Hall minutes, because for me it's an absolute certainty. He's not going to absolutely change the game, but he can definitely give a bit more respectively than what Matt Ritchie can. Now, back on to Tottenham Hotspur, they've just genuinely been off. I mean, like we say, conceding 4 goals to Chelsea, 3 to Man City, getting beat at home by West Ham, getting beat at home by Villa. It just hasn't looked good for them. So I think this is a battle of who's going to turn up on the day. Like I said, both teams with injuries, both teams with absences, both teams not really on form. Spurs not good at home, Newcastle not good away, unfortunately. What's it, 8 games played now and 1 win? It was an emphatic win, by the way, a 1-0 win at Sheffield United, 8-0. That was absolutely unbelievable. That'll not be forgotten for a very, very long time. But for me, it just is who's going to turn up on the day. If Newcastle turn up, look, we're going to be fatigued. The players might not be up for it. On a mental wise, of course they're going to be up for it. They're going to wear the club shirt. They're absolutely passionate about the club, but they may not be up for it fitness wise. It's a very sticky one for the lads. They're going to give everything. They won't let their standards drop. But is it going to take its toll like Everton? We don't know. Spurs, it may take their toll. Of course, they've got a lot longer. They've had 3 days since they played West Ham. We've got a very sort of close Premier League list, with all due respect. They've actually got Premier League games in quick succession. I mean, Aston Villa on the 26th, it's Man City on the 3rd, West Ham on the 7th, of course, Newcastle on the 10th. I mean, we've got games in quick succession, but also in 3 other competitions. It's absolutely mental. Like I said, what I think it genuinely boils down for this game is who will turn up for Newcastle. Spurs yet again not great at home, Newcastle not great away. Both teams having the absences. Newcastle they were missing some fantastic players like Sven Botman, Harvey Barnes, Tonali with the suspension, of course, Dan Burn. In the big one, Nick Pope in goal. I mean, it's never great losing your senior keeper. Spurs have got a great keeper in Vicario or Viciario, however you want to say it. Oh, I love it. Yeah, I'm going back to my roots there. But it just is who's going to turn up on the day. For me, a score prediction, do you know what? I'll give you what I think of a Newcastle perspective, and then I'll give you a real one. Newcastle, from a Geordie Josh perspective, 2-0 at Newcastle. But a real one, I'm going to say 1-1. If Newcastle take the game by the scruff of its neck, it's going to go Newcastle's way. If Spurs turn up, it's going to go Spurs' way. It's always that way in football, but today it just is that way. Whoever turns up will win this game, and that's what I believe. Without further ado, people, I'll see you in the next one. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Of course, I'm here every single day for every single content. We'll never miss anything. Thank you very much for watching today's video. I wish you all a very good day. Without further ado, people, go and enjoy your day.